Hey there, everyone. I'm Cassandra from CassandraTyndall.com, and today we're going to check out the sun in Aries. So tomorrow, March 20, the sun will move into the sign of Aries, where it will stay through until April 20 for a period of 4 weeks. So this annual ingress of the sun in Aries does mark the equinox. So each time the sun moves into one of the 4 cardinal signs, it marks a major turning point in the sun, and that will either be a solstice when we're looking at Cancer and Capricorn, or an equinox when we are looking at the signs of Aries or Libra. So this is the Aries equinox, sometimes called the vernal equinox, and it also marks the astrological new year, which is an exciting component as well. So this period through until the new moon in Aries, which happens on April 12, is a real surge of fresh new energy. So the sun in Aries is in a position of exaltation. So it's got this additional dignity there. So the idea of the sun being the principle of our identity, confidence, the ability to, as we might say in Australia, have a go, mate, just to go for it. Idea of that sort of stable inner fire within us, the sovereignty, the confidence, the true essence, that solar essence of who we are. If you think about the sun as a glyph, it's a circle with the dot in the middle. And so that is when we're looking at really what that solar principle is, or the idea of essence, it's getting right into that core of the sun. And even the sun as a celestial body in the sky, it has a sort of external heat source and light source, but the core of the sun is even a gazillion times hotter again. So when we're really piercing into that dot in the middle of the glyph, we're really, eyeing in on what our sort of that innate wisdom and intelligence is. So when that sun moves into Aries, it's in that position of exaltation. So the sun and the solar principle becomes vitalized, it becomes energized, and it really just sort of boosts that solar principle. So because astrology is primarily taking its symbolism from the Northern Hemisphere, in the North, the sun is in the position of rising. So it's rising up through its highest declination, which it will achieve at the solstice in June. So this is the return to light. So the return to clarity, the return to spring, if you like, the idea of new beginnings, winter being over, and fresh starts. So there is this gentle, raising of light. The equinox is Latin, the term is Latin for equal night. So there is a certain level of balance in the sky at the present time. So there's this gentle increase of light. And as the sun moves into Aries, there is this sort of spark, or that quickening, that new beginning, that promise of something new, fresh, and exciting. So after a long, cold winter in the north, you start to get slightly longer days, slightly warmer weather conditions, and you'd see that natural agitation come through in nature. So people will start to walk more, be outdoors more. The buds on on the plants and things like that are starting to blossom and eventually bloom. So there is this sense of things being lifted, elevated, or raised up. So there is this sort of quickening idea that's a little spark of promise or a spark of insight. A little bit different to when the sun is in Leo in its domicile or rulership. So it's in that fixed, long, enduring sign of Leo, where the fire is kind of long, hot, and strong. Whereas in Aries, it's a little bit more of that flash in the pan, the idea of striking the match and those little sparks that kind of come through before that flame starts to burn. So there is a very yang influence coming through here. There's that sense of confidence and heat coming through. So that agitation of movement, activity, and progress. So Aries is obviously ruled by Mars, and in an Aries coming into, or the sun coming into the sign of Aries, we've got a real predominance of hot and dry. So this is really great for clarity, confidence, and activity. So we're just coming out of the Pisces season, and where it is cold and wet. So in medical astrology, Pisces is symbolized as phlegm. And so just as an example, I think I'm at about week 3, nearly week 4, of having a sort of a head cold that just won't go away. So I'm kind of looking forward to the idea of drying out, or getting a little bit more of that clarity back in my mind when I don't have, the head cold to deal with. So I'm hoping that the sun in Aries might help with that as well. So coming out of a 4-week Pisces season that is cold and moist, which is obviously great for connecting to the inner landscape, emotions, feelings, care and compassion. Now we're moving into that more dominating, pioneering, which is a very common energy that is a very common keyword associated with the sign of Aries. So this is a very stimulating energy. So that can really help you get moving after a slow or sluggish period, or feeling a little bit dazed and confused, which sometimes in Pisces, it feels like that. It's necessary. It's great to go through those more internal contemplative periods of time, but staying there forever, leads to melancholy. So now we've got that turning of the sun, and there's a sense of vibrancy or activity, or the levels of light are rising. And so when there's light, there's vision, there's clarity, and there's a path forward. So the idea of pioneering is blazing a path forward for yourself in whichever house that Aries rules for you. So over the next 4 weeks, consider, where do you want to take action? Where do you want to gain progress? Where do you want to maybe have that proverbial have a go mate at something? So if it's your 6th house, for example, maybe it's time to return to some of those New Year's goals you might have set for yourself, and in the respect of habits, routines, and health. Maybe if it's your 4th house, maybe you want to tackle some of those DIY, do-it-yourself projects around home. If it's your 10th house, of course, you're going to be going for gold in terms of your professional life or your overall life direction. So it gives you some ideas on how you can maybe use this spark of promise to set some new goals, or set some new targets for yourself, or set some new intentions. I prefer to use the word intention personally, but some people are more driven by goals and spreadsheets. Now, there is an idea with this excess of heat that's coming through, that maybe you can take on too much. The idea of walking up to a smorgasbord and trying all the things. And that can be really great. Aries is good at, that's a great idea, let's go for it. Or Aries has the ability to very quickly transition from idea into action. They don't spend time deliberating or thinking about things. But then boredom can set in really quickly too. So I guess the idea here is, this could also be an experimental month in some ways. It's like, okay, I'm going to channel energy and focus into this one part of my life, but I'm also going to be a little bit detached from the outcome or endpoint if I don't achieve that thing. But the idea is to get started. You can't achieve anything from a position of being stationary, which of course, when the sun moves into Taurus, we could talk about that next month. But this is just the idea of have a go, set some intentions or goals, try something new, and don't let any sense of fear or lack of confidence or imposter syndrome or can I really do this? Don't let those kind of feelings hold you back, because Aries is fearless. Aries is that sort of proverbial warrior. Aries leads the charge. It's act now, think later, if they think at all. So sometimes it's just so agitated by action and progress. As long as those wheels are turning, that is happiness to an Aries. So an idea of how the Aries energy can manifest. Many moons ago, when I was living in Sydney, I was working with a dear friend at the time, and we went shopping. And I took her to a shopping centre in a part of town where I lived, and she'd never been there before. I remember driving in to the underground car park and get out of the car, lock it, and she's off. And I said, do you even know where you're going? And she's like, no. And so this is the spirit of Aries. They don't wait. They don't wait to be shown or told. They just decide for themselves and they make a go of it. So this might be a great month for you to take, embrace that inner person and just go for it. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for somebody else's green light. Turn the light on to green yourself and go for it. So there is this idea, have a go it alone. The downside too is you can push too hard, too fast, or try and do too much and burn yourself out, because this is an excess of fire coming through. So it is energizing, it's warming, it's stimulating. But then even when you are, let's just say it's, in the middle of winter and you are around a fire, we all gravitate to it. But then after a while, it gets a little bit too hot and you need to step away. So it might be a little bit of awareness too, if you find yourself trying to juggle too many balls in the air or got too many things on your plate. That might also be your clue or cue to, okay, when the sun moves into Taurus, okay, I need to reduce a few things here. Because Aries doesn't always know when enough's enough, and that idea of burnout can really happen. So Aries is great to initiate, to start, to begin. The follow through is not a strong suit for Aries. So the idea this month is to try, is to go for it. If it feels good, do it, but maybe be a little bit detached from the outcome. The idea is, at least if you start, you've taken a step and you're further along the path if you hadn't taken that step at all. So think about your house that is ruled by Aries, and where you can get your engines running in that part of your life. Where can you, strike that proverbial match and see a few of those sparks fly. So if you like these kind of insights and you would like to explore more astrology each and every month, as well as additional resources, a new moon group, some discounts and special offers with other things that I do in astrology, then you can find out more via my Golden Circle Club. So the Golden Circle is still in what I'm referring to as my beta phase, and a new platform will be launching on my website soon. So there are a few additional, there's a new word for you. There's a few extra additional, repeating myself a bit there, but yeah, if you're after some extra offers and some special bonuses that won't be available once it's launched online, so foundation memberships to this subscription are still available. So it'd be wonderful to have you join. And if you want more information about that, there will be a link in the description box below. So until next time, enjoy the sun in Aries, enjoy the warmth, enjoy the energy, and enjoy the activity. Bye for now.